severe warned. Again, those are north of the front. And then if we push a little bit further to the south, that's where we have that potential for the stronger storms south of the front, where we could actually see those tornado warned storms. So it does look like the National Weather Service has issued another tornado warning. So again, this is extended off of the storm that we have been tracking, and it does include Cape Girardeau. So moving right through Cape Girardeau along Interstate 55. If it held together, then it's going to be moving towards Anna. So I'm going to put a little box on here, and we're going to take a look at how long this tornado warning goes for. This tornado warning's been issued for parts of Alexander, Cape Girardeau County, Scott counties, and Union County, Illinois, until 8:30 tonight. So again, if you're in any of those areas, this is the time to seek shelter. Again, a new tornado warning has been issued by the National Weather Service. I am going to switch this back over to the velocities to see if we can get a good view of where that rotation is, and it is still showing up there very close to the city of Cape Girardeau. So right now it has moved very close to Dutchtown. Again, you've got those brighter reds and that green rotation. It is going to likely stay just on the south side of Gordonville. So if you are in Gordonville, you're probably hearing those sirens going off. Again, the rotation staying to the south. That doesn't mean you're not going to see a strong part of the storm, but again, the rotation looks like it's to the south of you. It is going to be moving right over Interstate 55 and towards Cape Girardeau. Garrett?
Yeah, I was just looking at this storm, that velocity that you were talking about, again, just very close to Dutchtown. This is going to cross Interstate 55, as JC was saying. And beyond that, we could see this get very, very close to the Cape Girardeau Bridge, say along 146, where that meets State Route 3 in Illinois. So again, McClure and other parts of Union and northern Alexander counties, you are included in this tornado warning. And that does include, again, Cape Girardeau, Scott City, Chaffee, and Gordon. I do want to check the debris signature, see if we are seeing any lofted debris, because I read the warning from the National Weather Service, and they are saying that this storm, as we have seen tonight, has already dropped a tornado just to the west near Advance. So we've already seen a tornado form from this storm. We've seen reports of debris falling out of the sky near Cape Girardeau. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick check at the debris, see what we are looking at. Thankfully, not really seeing anything in terms of lofted debris. If I had to pinpoint an area, it would be somewhere just to the south and west of Dutchtown. But again, not really seeing any of that lofted debris. Nonetheless, I do want you sheltered if you live in Cape Girardeau. I also need you to be sheltered if you live in Scott City. And then if you live across the river into other parts of southern Illinois. So let's go ahead and switch it back over to our velocity mode this evening. Again, this is what we're looking at in terms of that rotation. This rotation is is on the north side of Chaffee. This is very close to Rockview, also close to Nash. This is likely going to pass very, very close to Interstate 55 near Nash and near Nash Road. So if you are traveling along Interstate 55 near Nash Road, I need you to get off the interstate or call somebody. If you know that they are going to be traveling along the interstate, they need to get off the roadways. This also could potentially pass as far north as maybe South Silver Spring Road near Dutchtown. You need to be into that tornado safe space immediately. This is a very tight area of rotation, and it has been a very tight area of rotation over the last several hours as it has gone over parts of northwestern Arkansas and then into Poplar Bluff. And now we are seeing these storms push into an extremely favorable environment here over the next couple of minutes. So again, Cape Girardeau, I need you to be in that tornado safe space, as well as into East Cape Girardeau. Here is Route 3. Here is 146. This is where we see that Cape Girardeau Bridge. This is going to get very, very close. JC, what do you have?
I just kind of pulled up a little bit of a wider view. Again, we've been pretty zoomed in on where that rotation is, but a lot of folks out ahead of this storm in areas like Union County, probably hearing those tornado sirens going off, and especially after the other night, maybe have a little bit of storm anxiety. So I wanted to throw a storm track on this to give you a rough estimate in times, because again, this is going to be moving into Cape Girardeau, but then eventually going a little bit further into Union County, so getting pretty close to Anna. Unfortunately, this is very close to where we saw some of those storms the other night. So again, if you are in this warning, you'll want to make sure you are seeking shelter. It is, again, not as tight as it was when we saw that report of a tornado on the ground, but there's no doubt that that rotation is still there. Again, moving right towards Cape Girardeau, Mill Creek, Bainbridge, and Anna, all in the path of the storm. So I have put a storm track on here. So if you see your town name, again, you'll want to seek shelter. If this were to continue to hold together a little bit further outside of the warning, areas like Goreville kind of just need to start watching, start paying attention a little bit. Again, still a little bit of away, but if it's going to take you some time to get to where you need to be, now is the time to do that before all of the rain, again, the hail, and then that storm start to move in. So you're talking areas like Anna, closer to about 8:15, maybe passing to close to Cobden, maybe just on the south side around 8:15 as well. So again, going to be approaching Cape Girardeau though in the next couple of minutes. So if you're in Cape Girardeau, make sure that you are seeking shelter. Hopefully you are all ready in your safe place and watching us from there. This rotation going to be crossing right over Interstate 55 within the next minute or so.
I did also want to point out that we have seen that hail threat come down a little bit with this tornado warning. Again, still lots of rotation within this storm, and I want you to take it seriously, but we're not seeing that baseball-sized hail like we were seeing earlier. We were seeing that 2 3/4 inch hail, which is very close to baseball-sized hail making it to the surface. We are now seeing around quarter-sized 1 inch hail. So that is, of course, good news to see that hail threat come down. But again, the rotation is very, very tight within this storm as it goes through parts of Cape Girardeau County. So I'm going to go ahead and get down on that velocity mode, and we're going to take a look at what kind of streets are still being impacted within this storm. So here's what we are looking at this evening. Again, that tornado, that center of circulation looks right now like this is going to be getting very, very close to the west side of Cape Girardeau. I know that this is a very, very highly populated area. There are lots of restaurants. There's a Cracker Barrel over here, several hotels. If you know anybody on the west side of Cape Girardeau, this is the time to get into that tornado safe space. Again, this is a very, very highly populated area with lots of restaurants. There's the mall over here. This is where that tornado is going to be tracking on the west side of Cape Girardeau, very close to Interstate 55. So again, if you know anybody that is traveling along Interstate 55, you need to tell them to get off the interstate, give them a phone call, especially if they are getting close to Cape Girardeau. Anybody in the city limits of Cape Girardeau needs to be sheltered, but especially on the west side near Interstate 55, near it looks like County Road 317, near William Street, near Shawnee Parkway. Again, this is a very, very highly populated area with lots of restaurants as well as lots of restaurants and lots of shopping malls. JC, do you have a new warning?
We do. So the National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning behind this storm. That's in place until 8:30. It has been issued for Bollinger, Butler, Stoddard, and Wayne counties. So again, that does go until 8:30. We're talking about 60-mile-per-hour winds as that main hazard. But some of this is going to be moving through areas that were just impacted by that rotating storm where we saw the very large hail and that tornado on the ground. So if you were in that storm, this is kind of just your reminder. Don't try to go out and see these, check out the damage or anything like that until the rest of the activity has passed, because there may be another storm coming in behind it. So again, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued behind that original storm. That does include Poplar Bluff and Castor, just to the south of Marble Hill. Garrett.
Yeah, certainly. This is another one of those situations where I don't want you to get outside and try to see this storm. It does not look like this is a storm that you can get out and you can see that tornado if it is on the ground. This kind of looks a little bit messy. Again, we're not seeing those clean supercells like we saw the other day where we saw those well-defined hooks. Again, it's looking a little bit more messy, so this is not something that you're going to be able to get out there and see. It more than likely is wrapped in rain here as it continues its track further towards the north and towards the east. Again, tornado warning is in effect for western and central Union County, including Anna. I do believe that this also includes the west side of Anna all the way over towards Jonesboro. This does include it does look like it includes Jonesboro this evening. This also includes Valley Mission all the way down into parts of northern Alexander County near McClure. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that rotation. Again, this is moving very quickly towards the north and east at around 40 miles per hour. So don't wait around to see this tornado coming. Again, you're likely not going to see it as it is because it is wrapped in rain. But here's what we are looking at. Here's that center of circulation, again, just on the west side of Cape Girardeau. JC, what do you have?
I did just want to touch base because we did have a little bit of information coming down in the chat that potentially a spotter may have an eye on this storm. He said it's difficult to see because there's a lot of rain, which is why we've told you don't want to try to get out and see it ever, but you definitely don't want to go try to see it on a night like tonight. But there is potentially maybe still a funnel cloud or a tornado on the ground near Dutchtown. So again, here's those reds and greens. Again, just on the south side of Gordonville near Dutchtown, and then going to be moving across Interstate 55 towards Cape Girardeau.
Did you see in the chat that there is a report of a tornado?
Yes,
yes,
that's what
okay.
we were talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So we do now have a tornado on the ground. I apologize for that. But again, we do have a tornado that is just on the ground towards the north of Dutchtown that is coming very, very close to Interstate 55 near Cape Girardeau, Missouri this evening. So let's go ahead and switch it back over to the regular reflectivity mode, see if we have any updates to this tornado warning. The Weather Service has upgraded this tornado warning, and this is denoted by those red flashing lines. This means that we do have an observed tornado within this storm. So again, you can start to kind of see that hook right there just to the west of Cape Girardeau. This is going to continue to move gradually further towards the north and towards the east into parts of Union County, as well as into potentially parts of southern Union County and northern parts of Alexander County. Again, National Weather Service has confirmed that this is a tornado on the ground. I do want to see if we can see any debris signature within this. So let's pull up that debris tracker this evening, see exactly what we are looking at. Not really looking too impressive in terms of that debris signature, maybe a little bit of that lofted debris, but that also could be a little bit of hail. But again, we do have reports from a trained weather spotter that a tornado is currently on the ground into far western parts of the city of Cape Girardeau. JC?
I just kind of had a wider view of what we have been tracking because unfortunately this storm is taking a very similar path to one of the storms that we did see the other night. So I know there are a lot of folks that are maybe out ahead in this warning that we haven't gotten to talk about too much just yet. In those areas maybe have some of that storm anxiety. This storm, while right now it's very close to Interstate 55, it's moving into Cape Girardeau again, an observed tornado. That's why we have these lines here. It is going to continue to the north and east, so it's going to be moving through northern Alexander County here eventually, so pretty close to the north side of Illinois 146. And then it is going to be staying, again, if it holds together, moving into Union County, again, very close to Anna. So if you're in Anna right now, you're probably hearing those sirens going off. You want to be in your basement, again, already seeking shelter. Right now, that rotation is pretty close to Cape Girardeau.
I do have a longer extended storm track here. So again, what we've seen is this storm produced a funnel cloud very close to Poplar Bluff. We saw it kind of weaken, and then we've seen it re-strengthen and drop a tornado, and then it weakened, and now it looks like we have another tornado on the ground. So this is kind of a theme within this supercell thunderstorm, that this very quickly will tighten up and drop a tornado and then start to weaken. So I really don't want you to let your guard down, even if we see that this tornado suddenly lifts here as it tracks further towards the north and towards the east. Again, this could be bringing it into Cape Girardeau here in about the next 2 minutes. So you don't have too much longer left in Cape Girardeau to get into that tornado safe space. This is going to continue to move likely into Ware by around 8:21, into Springville by 8:29, potentially into Anna by 8:35 this evening. Now again, those are the cities that are currently included in this tornado warning. But beyond that, we could see this move potentially into Makanda if it holds together. This could potentially pass maybe on the southern side of Makanda. If it takes more of a northerly track, that could put this storm into Makanda by 8:52. This also could put it into Goreville by around 9:08 this evening. This also could put it into Alveria by the time we make it to around 8:59 this evening. So again, a couple of cities in southern Illinois that could potentially be in the direct path if this thing holds together and if it continues on its current trajectory. Again, this area over here completely untapped in terms of that rainfall, in terms of any of that storm energy. So we do still have quite a bit of storm energy across southern Illinois as this storm continues to get closer to us. JC?
Just keeping an eye on that storm, of course, that area of rotation. We do have multiple reports of a tornado on the ground, potentially very close to Gordonville. So again, watching this as it's making its way through areas close to Cape Girardeau. If you are hearing your town name, if you are hearing those sirens going off, you do want to make sure you're seeking shelter. Unfortunately, these storms are moving very close to where these storms moved the other night. So again, sometimes hard to tell as these are moving through whether trees are down from the new damage or maybe from one of those storms the other night. So watching this very, very closely tonight. Again, that rotation starting to push into Cape Girardeau. So if you're in Cape Girardeau, you want to be sure to seek shelter. We do have that observed tornado warning on the board. Again, you'll notice the difference when you've got the observed tornado warning. That's when you start to get those red lines kind of going through that box there to signify that this is a serious threat. I'm going to put this box up again here, give a little bit of a wider view one more time. Tornado warning in place until 8:30. But if you're out ahead of this storm in areas in southern Illinois, this is going to move through the northern portions of Alexander County. And then we also have that again moving towards Union County. So again, if you've heard your town name called out, your county name called out, again, seek shelter. Garrett, you have something for us?
Yep, we do have a correlation, or we have a drop in the correlation coefficient, which is coinciding with exactly where that rotation is. So this is where we see that drop in correlation coefficient. This is more than likely lofted debris by this tornado. This is on the northern side of Cape Girardeau. This is getting uncomfortably close to Southeastern Missouri State University, also known as SEMO. So again, this is getting uncomfortably close to that university campus with that lofted debris. This is going to continue its track further towards the north and towards the east. Now, I do believe that we have a brand new tornado warning, so I'm going to turn this off here and just do a little bit of a reset. If you're just joining us, maybe you're hearing your phone go off. It looks like we have 2 tornado warnings right now for parts of Union, Cape Girardeau County, as well as northern Alexander County. Here is that new tornado warning. We'll go ahead and query this here. This is for the other half of Union County, kind of further towards the north. This is for northern Cape Girardeau County, Jackson County, or far southern Jackson County. So the far southeastern corner of Jackson County, sort of just south of Granite Tower. This is along Route 3. So again, a very, very small sliver of Jackson County in southern Illinois is now included in this. This does not concern you in Carbondale or Makanda. Again, not even into or very close to Grand Tower, but again, Grand Tower proper not included, just a very tiny sliver there of Jackson County. This also is for Union County as well, the northern half of Union County. JC, do you have any updates on that new center of circulation?
I'm just keeping a close eye on this. So again, you've got all of these bright reds. So it looks like it's almost like right along Interstate 55. So just off to the east of Jackson, now moving through Cape Girardeau. This is the entire area that we do have those tornado warnings on. So that original warning, that storm that's moving through Cape Girardeau, was kind of extended into the south side of Union County, moving towards Anna. But now now we have that northern part of the storm that is pushing into further the northern portions of Union County. So again, if you're in Union County, especially on the west side, you hear those tornado sirens, you want to make sure you're seeking shelter. Again, this storm is going to be moving or is moving across portions of Interstate 55 and is going to be crossing 177, the strongest part of that storm, moving through parts of Cape Girardeau right now, Garrett.
I did want to circle that. This is exactly what JC was just talking about. We have those two centers of circulation. Circulation number one, this is what has prompted that brand new tornado warning that includes the northern half of Cape Girardeau County as well as the northern parts of Union County and that very, very tiny sliver of southern Jackson County in southern Illinois. Again, this is that new area of rotation. The other one further towards the south is the one that has the confirmed tornado on it that we've seen the debris ball with. This one is also for an observed tornado as well, so it is very likely that we do right now have two tornadoes on the ground between Jackson and Cape Girardeau right now, between those two city limits. Now let's go ahead and put on that correlation coefficient. Let's go ahead and see about exactly what's going on within this storm in terms of those debris signatures. Now again, we were kind of seeing that debris signature a little bit earlier. This is more than likely where we're seeing that debris, but it's kind of getting a little bit messy as this storm continues its track further towards the north and towards the east. JC, do you have an update for those tornado warnings?
I do have an update for the warnings. So again, when we talk about these tornado warnings, if it's a solid red box, that's a radar indicated tornado warning. And then when we have those red lines going through the box, that means that a tornado has been spotted on the ground. So there is an actual report of a tornado that has touched the ground. So I do want to point out that original storm that we have been tracking, or I should say that original portion of rotation that we've been tracking, it doesn't have the red lines anymore, so that's a good sign. We still have this tornado warning in place, and we do see these weaken and then spin back up periodically, so we still have to watch this. If you're in Anna, I would still make sure you're heading to your safe place, but that's definitely a step in the right direction. It looks like that rotation is starting to get picked up just a little bit further to the north, and again, that's why we have that northern tornado warning now moving to the north and east, again going to be crossing 177 and then into the northern portions of Union County, Garrett.
Yeah, certainly looking a little bit more messy in terms of this rotation as of right now. But again, as JC was just saying, we've seen these storms very quickly cycle back and produce a tornado. So again, this is what we're looking at. This is the center of circulation is just to the north and towards the east of the city of Jackson. So this likely went very close to the city of Jackson. This area of rotation very close to State Highway V in two parts of Cape Girardeau County. This is also very close to Missouri State Route 127 in Cape Girardeau County as well. This is also getting very, very close to crossing into Union County, Illinois on the western side. So again, if you know where that, this is going to be very close to crossing the Mississippi River here in just a couple of minutes. So if you live in western Union County, maybe it takes you a little bit of time to go to that tornado safe space. This is the time to go ahead and get into that tornado shelter because, again, we do have an observed tornado that is currently on the ground. It looks like we now have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that has just populated into our system. This is a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. It's denoted by those red lines. And what that tornado possible tag means is that there is rotation within this storm. However, the rotation isn't quite tight enough for the Weather Service to go ahead and issue a tornado warning. But if you live near Oron or into parts of western Alexander County, I need you to go ahead and get into that tornado safe space. This is kind of moving right into that same area that has just been hit by likely an observed tornado across parts of Jackson County as well, or excuse me, across parts of Cape Girardeau County, and that is now going to continue its track into parts of Union County here in just a few minutes. So let's go ahead and put up a box here. Just see about how long this severe thunderstorm warning goes. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for a lot of counties here. We have Bellinger, Cape Girardeau, Scott, and Stoddard counties. The primary hazard is 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as that 1-inch hail, but that rotation is certainly present within this storm. That is why we have that tornado possible tag. That's those red flashing lines. So let's go ahead and take a look at the velocity mode. So we'll go ahead and clear all of this off. See if we can find any bit of rotation that's within this storm. Certainly looks like we have a little bit of rotation maybe into the southern corner of Cape Girardeau County right here just to the north and towards the east of Castor. So right here just into parts of southern Bellinger County, and that is going to move into southern parts of Cape Girardeau County. So again, just a little bit of that broad rotation right in there. Not a tornado warning necessarily, but this is certainly something that we are going to have to watch, as we've already seen these storms spit out tornadoes this evening. This is unfortunately going right over an area that was hit on Wednesday, and this was just hit once again by that observed tornado that went through the western sides of Cape Girardeau County, and now we have a new severe thunderstorm warning with that tornado possible tag. So I do want you to go ahead and get into that tornado shelter. This is that broad rotation that we are seeing. This at any moment could tighten up as it tracks further off towards the east into a more untapped and more favorable environment. JC?
We are still keeping an eye on that storm that has prompted the tornado warnings a little bit further off to the north and east, still tracking an area of rotation where we've got some of those very bright colors showing up here on the screen. This is going to be just to the south of Highway V, going to be moving towards 177. Again, this part is in southeastern Missouri, going to be moving towards Moccasin Springs, and then eventually starting to work its way into the northern portions of Union County. So eventually going to approach Illinois 3 and likely going to be crossing very close to Wolf Lake as well. So again, that's the area that has prompted the tornado warning. And we do potentially have a tornado on the ground with that storm. Garrett?
Just keeping an eye on that center of circulation, and also an eye on the Weather Service chat here. They are talking about a storm that is on the western edge that has prompted that severe thunderstorm warning. Again, this is what we're looking at in terms of that rotation. Again, just a little bit of that broad rotation further towards the west. Does look like we may have another area of a little bit of tight rotation just to the west into Whitewater. Again, this is why we do have that tornado possible tag within this storm. But I do want to draw your focus to the storm that has continued to have a tornado on the ground with it. Let's go ahead and take a look at that debris tracker, see exactly what we are looking at across parts of Cape Girardeau County. Again, not really looking like too much in the way of lofted debris. This certainly could be a little bit of lofted debris near Bain Bridge, but again, that is a little bit messy. There could be lofted debris, as that is kind of close to where we're seeing that circulation, but not looking to be too well defined here. But again, I do want you to go ahead and get into that storm shelter. So I want to switch it back over to the regular reflectivity mode and pull up those warning boxes, so that way you guys can see exactly what we're looking at. Again, this is what we're looking at. We have those two tornado warnings, one further towards the south that includes Cape Girardeau proper as well as Anna, and then one to the north that has that observed tornado tag. So again, this one did have the observed tornado tag. That has been downgraded to a radar indicated threat, but it seems like the northern storm has kind of almost cut off the southern circulation a little bit in a way, but this is where we are concerned with that tornado on the ground still. This still has that observed tag. Both of these storms are moving off towards the north and east at around 40 miles per hour. So if we go ahead and put a storm track on these two areas of circulation, I'm going to just draw more of a broad storm track that we would almost use more for a line of storms, rather because we do have those two areas of rotation. So if we take this out broadly, this over the next 45 minutes, this could put it into Alto Pass by the time we make it to around 8:25, into Anna proper by 8:29. So again, Anna, think around 8:29, 8:30, Anna Jonesboro area. That is your time to go ahead and get into that tornado safe space. It's right now. I really need you to go ahead and get in there because we do have the report of a tornado. That further beyond this tornado warning, that could take it into Lake Creek by 8:44. We also could be looking at this tornado warning when the next one comes around. If they decide to continue it, this could also start to be impacting, again, that northern and eastern corner of Union County, as well as the southern part of Williamson County across Wolf Creek. This also could be impacting northern Johnson County as well if this continues to hold together. JC?
So we are just still keeping an eye on that, again, the storm where we do have the report of an observed tornado. That tornado warning is still in place. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit closer here. So on this storm, it does have like what we call a notch. So when you start to get these notches or these hooks, of course, on top of seeing that in the velocity, that's a good indication that we do have that rotation. And of course, it's very clear that you can see this. It's very close to 177 again, and it is about to cross into Union County. So Union County along Illinois 3 going to start to move into those northern portions of Union County within the next couple of minutes. So if you are in the path of this storm, this is one where you do want to seek shelter. You know, a lot of people maybe have a little bit of anxiety after the other night. Again, make sure you are seeking shelter. If this were to continue together right now, Cobden, you're not in the path of this warning right now, or you're not in the warning right now, but you are in the path of the storm. So if it did hold together and it's going to take you a while to get somewhere, I'd start thinking about where I need to go if a tornado warning is issued for you. Garrett?
Yeah, definitely go ahead and start to think about that if you live in the eastern half of Union County, as well as the part of western at Johnson County, or even parts of southwestern Williamson County. It is time to start maybe thinking about that tornado safe space, as we do have these storms that are continuing to track further towards the north and towards the east into a more untapped environment with these storms. So this is what we're looking at in terms of that rotation. Again, this is very close to Bainbridge. This is also close to Moccasin Springs. So if these two towns are sounding familiar, this is where we are monitoring that rotation. This is likely going to cross State Route 3 in Illinois and western Union County near the city of Ware. It also could be very close to Pottsville, as well as State Forest Road. If any of these are sounding familiar, go ahead and give your friends a call that live down this way. Again, this is where we are looking at for that potential of the tornado still potentially being on the ground, given the fact that the Weather Service has still continued to keep that observed tornado tag within this warning. Now, beyond that, we could be looking at this crossing somewhere very close to Anna Jonesboro, as well as along Old Highway 51 North and North Main Street in Anna. So again, these are the areas that we are starting to see, or this is the area that very, very tight rotation right here could start to move into. So again, very, very close, could cross Illinois State Route 3 as well as 146. That also could get very, very close to Anna. JC, do we have a new warning?
I am not seeing a new warning at this time, Garrett, but I am going to widen out this view just a little bit because we do have several warnings that are kind of still on the board here. So we do have that tornado warning with the red lines going through it, so an observed tornado. That's the one that we've been focused on kind of most heavily, moving to the north and east, moving into the northern portions of Union County right now. On the south side of that storm is where we saw the original rotation. There is still a warning in place, but notice those red lines have dropped off. That's a good sign. But still, if you're in areas like Anna, I would go ahead and stay in my safe place and let this storm pass, because these storms do have a history of kind of weakening and then tightening back up. So again, as we're watching these tonight, even if they look like they start to weaken, unless we give you the all clear, you'll want to make sure you're still watching them and staying in your safe place until we say you're good to go. The other thing to note is we're watching this line that's just a little bit further to the south. So there's a pretty big severe thunderstorm warning on this. Of course, you've got the red lines, because when you've got lines like this, of course, you can see the kinks in the line and you can see those brief spin up tornadoes. So that's why there's that tornado possible tag. But also you'll notice this line is starting to bow out a little bit, and that is an indication of some strong straight line winds. So even though there's not a tornado warning necessarily on this, this is something that we'll also have to watch, Garrett.
I did want to just bring up something that I just saw populate into the Weather Service chat. They are talking about the potential for supercell thunderstorms to kind of merge in this general area that I have circled. They are concerned about the tornado potential right within there as these cells start to merge within each other. So again, right in here, this is where we are concerned with those cells starting to merge and that tornado potential being a little bit higher in this area, thanks to those cells starting to merge. And that is the area that we have continually seeing tornado warnings all the way back into western Cape Girardeau County, all the way through the city of Cape Girardeau, and now into Union County across southern Illinois. And this potentially could start to move into parts of Johnson County, as well as parts of southwestern Williamson County, and maybe even the southern portion of Jackson County here in just a little bit. So it is certainly something that we are going to have to monitor. I do want to pull up the velocity scans because I just want to take a quick check as to what is going on within the thunderstorm in terms of the rotation. We are starting to see a couple of areas of rotation develop within the storm that has the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag. Again, this is what we're looking at in terms of that rotation just west of Cape Girardeau. So again, a little bit of that more weak rotation into western Cape Girardeau, two little inflow notches right here. This is what we're looking at. This is an area that we could start to see a little bit more in the way of rotation and potentially have to monitor that for possible tornado touchdowns. Of course, the reason that we still have that tornado warning in place is this area of circulation that is getting very close to Illinois Route 3. This is going to get very, very close to Cobden as well as State Route 51. JC?
That's kind of what I have pulled up as well, because right now that still looks like our strongest storm at this point, and it is starting to cross into Union County, or has crossed into Union County. So again, we've got that rotation very close to Illinois 3, moving to the north and east. So it's going to be very close to Cobden. If you are in northern Union County, so to the north of Cobden, you'll want to make sure you are seeking shelter, head to your safe place, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Again, going to be crossing right across Illinois 127. So right now, that's still looking like the strongest storm at this point, the one that has the most concern with it. Of course, there's still kind of a lot going on though, Garrett.
This tornado warning, this is good news here. We've seen the downgrade from this being an observed tornado to just a radar indicated threat. We do, though, still have 2 tornado warnings in place now for just Union County. This does include the city of Anna, but that primary area, I still want you sheltered if you live in Anna, but the primary area of rotation is now likely a little bit further towards the north of the city of Anna. But again, these 2 tornado warnings still in place here for a little while longer, but they have carved back Cape Girardeau County from this warning, or at least the majority of Cape Girardeau County. So let's go ahead and query these. I can't remember exactly how long these go till, but both of these tornado warnings are in place until 8:30 this evening. So we have around 18 more minutes left with this tornado, or excuse me, 12 more minutes left with this tornado warning for parts of far northern and far eastern Cape Girardeau County. This also includes Jackson County and Union County. That small, teeny tiny sliver of Jackson County is included in this tornado warning. So again, we still do have about 12 minutes left with this tornado warning. JC, are you seeing anything as to whether the Weather Service plans to extend this warning?
They have not said at this point, but now that it has weakened just a little bit, I do want to widen out the view, because we obviously have been heavy focused near Union County, of course, and Cape Girardeau, where we've got those tornado warnings. But I also want to point out all of the activity going on everywhere else. So in Jefferson County and Mount Vernon, you're probably wondering, why haven't we talked about you? There's no severe thunderstorm warnings despite the extremely heavy rainfall and all of the lightning. So it's probably very, very loud for you right now, but again, not to severe limits. So we're seeing some of that activity through Perry County as well, and now starting to move into parts of Jackson County. A lot of lightning with this storm, so it's going to be a very loud night. So I didn't want to kind of ignore some of the other storms that are moving in. I wanted to let you know, again, we're focused a little bit further south tonight because that's where we've got those stronger storms, Garrett.
I just want to go ahead and provide a storm track. Again, this is that area of rotation that has still kept that tornado warning in place. Thankfully, we are not seeing an observed tornado with this, but I do want to track that area of rotation further towards the north and towards the east if it were to hold together, which again, it's moving into a more unstable environment. Well, it's been in an unstable environment, and it's going to continue to remain in one. If we do see this tornado warning get extended. This could include areas around Cobden. This could be into Cobden by around 8:34 this evening. It's 8:20, so I want to go ahead and give you as much advanced warning as I can. So again, this could be moving into Cobden by 8:34 this evening. So you have around 14 minutes in the city of Cobden to go ahead and get into that tornado safe place. This also could be moving into Makanda by 8:44. So again, 8:20 right now. You have around 24 minutes in Makanda. If this were to hold together and we see this tornado warning get extended, this also could be moving into Wolf Creek by the time we make it to around 8:59, into Goreville by 9:05, and then potentially into Nielsen by 9:09 if it were to hold together. So again, southwestern Williamson County, northeastern or northwestern Johnson County, as well as northeastern Union County, we could see this tornado warning get extended. Do we have a new warning, JC?
We do, and it's actually some good news here. The National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on that storm that we have been tracking. So kind of like we've been talking about a little bit, the rotation a little bit less organized. It's not gone, but not quite as organized as what we were seeing earlier. So that's why we're seeing the change here with that updated warning. So we do have that new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued until 9 o'clock. That's going to include Cape Girardeau, Jackson, Perry, and Union counties. We're talking about 60-mile-per-hour winds, some small hail. Again, that threat for a tornado is not gone, but it just looks a little bit messier, a little bit weaker than what we saw earlier. So that's certainly an improvement, but it's still something to be aware of. It's still something to watch. So we'll watch it very closely. But again, where we did have that tornado warned storm, we do now have that severe thunderstorm warning in place until 9 o'clock, Garrett.
Certainly does look like we're getting a little bit of an inflow notch there. Again, always good news to see that rotation threat has come down, but this has my eye right here just to the east of Grand Tower. This is that rotation. Again, it has weakened quite a bit, but it is still something that we're going to have to monitor here very, very closely. Again, this rotation just to the east of Grand Tower, just to the east of Route 3. This is going to continue its track further towards the north and east. That is why we do have that severe thunderstorm warning in place with that tornado possible tag. I do need you to go ahead and maybe think about at least putting your shoes on. You don't have to go to that tornado shelter necessarily, but maybe think about going, or at least putting those shoes on and thinking about where you would go if you were to get a tornado warning. And that is because we have seen this rotation time and time again get really, really tight and drop tornadoes very, very quickly. So again, Makanda, also Carbondale, you are included in this. So maybe, again, you don't need to go to that tornado safe space necessarily, but I do think that it would be in your best interest to maybe think about at least putting those shoes on and thinking about maybe where you would go in the event of that you do get a tornado warning. And I do want to go ahead and provide kind of a broad view as to what's going on. Maybe you're tuning in for regular programming. I know that it is a Friday night and we have interrupted regular programming as we do have several warnings right now still in place across the area. This is what we are looking at. We have several storms across the area with lots of lightning. Thankfully, we're not really seeing anything severe further towards the north. We have seen lots of heavy rain that move through the Mount Vernon area as well as the Perry County area and Franklin County area. But thankfully, all of those storms have been non-severe. Certainly a lot of thunder and lightning, but again, a lot not severe in terms of any warnings. We do have several severe thunderstorm warnings, and we've seen several tornado warnings along the leading edge of this line as it has progressed further towards the east. We've seen tornadoes in Cape Girardeau. Again, that newest severe thunderstorm warning now includes Jackson and Union counties here in southern Illinois, as well as adjacent parts of Perry County, it looks like, and also parts of Cape Girardeau County. And then we have another severe thunderstorm warning further towards the south that doesn't include, or it does barely include, parts of far western Alexander County, and that does also include Cape Girardeau County and adjacent counties in southern Illinois. And then through the further towards the south, it looks like we have a severe thunderstorm warning with a considerable tag. and this is running until 9 o'clock this evening. This is because we are seeing the potential for 70-mile-per-hour winds, so that has that considerable tag. There's also a possible tornado, but this is for Bullinger, Butler, Stoddard, and Wayne counties, and again, that is for 70-mile-per-hour sustained winds and that tornado possible tag. Also can't entirely rule out the potential for maybe some quarter-sized hail. JC?
Again, continuing to watch these storms very, very closely. The good news is that we did see some of these maybe weaken just a little bit. There is still that concern for tornadoes tonight. So again, even though as these weaken, they could tighten back up and re-strengthen. So something that we're going to continue to monitor. One thing I did want to point out with this storm that is moving through parts of Cape Girardeau. It's already moving through Castor, pushing towards Morley. It is starting to get more of a bowing look. So you'll notice instead of kind of a straight line coming through, part of the storm is pushing out ahead of the rest. And that's because we're starting to see some of those stronger winds. So that's indicating some of those strong straight line winds as well. So again, when we start to see those bowing segments, that's when we're worried about the straight line winds. So continuing to monitor that. Like Garrett mentioned, on the south side of this storm, we do still have, or we have a new, I should say, severe thunderstorm warning with that considerable tag. So that's in place for parts of Butler County and then extends all the way over through Dexter. And that considerable tag means that that potential for higher winds is higher than your standard tag. So that standard severe thunderstorm warning means you're looking out for 60-mile-per-hour winds. But once you start to see that considerable tag, that's indicating that you could see up to 70-mile-per-hour winds. Garrett?
I did want to just remind our viewers that even though we are seeing those tornado warnings that are likely going to expire here within the next couple of minutes, we do still have a tornado watch in place until 10 o'clock for most of the viewing area, including all of our counties south of State Route 13. It also does include several counties along State Route 13, including Gallatin County, as well as as well as Saline County, Williamson County, and Jackson County. It also includes all of our western Kentucky counties and southeastern Missouri counties. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch in place until midnight, and that is for parts of Jefferson County, Hamilton County, Franklin County, as well as it looks like parts of Perry County. And then across southeastern Missouri, that severe thunderstorm watch is still in effect until midnight for parts of for parts of Carter County, as well as Wayne County, Bellinger County, and Perry County in southeastern Missouri. JC?
I just had this severe thunderstorm warning pulled back up that we've been tracking, starting to hear kind of some of that thunder outside the TV station here. So it's really not too far off at this point. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued until 9 o'clock. That includes the northern portions of Union County and then does include the southern portions of Jackson County. So this is going to include areas like McCanda, and it does include Carbondale. So again, Carbondale under that severe thunderstorm warning. These red lines mean there is a possibility for a brief spin up within that storm at this time. It's just something that we're keeping an eye on, but we do have that severe thunderstorm warning in place until 9 o'clock. That warning goes through parts of Union County and then butts up almost right against Williamson County. So again, as this holds together, this would likely start to move through the northern portions of Johnson County and then ultimately through Williamson County as well. Garrett?
Yeah, and I did just want to remind viewers that we do still have a tornado warning in place for around the next 2 minutes for parts of far southern Jackson County as well as Union County. This is a radar indicated tornado, and the Weather Service is going to allow this to expire, and they are going to replace this, or they have already, I should say, replaced this with a severe thunderstorm warning that JC was just talking about with that tornado possible tag. And we are kind of transitioning more over to what looks to be a more linear storm mode, with the primary threat being damaging winds and maybe a little bit less in the way of the the tornado risk, but certainly we can't let our guard down as all of these severe thunderstorm warnings do have a tornado possible tag. And then we also do have another tornado warning further towards the south that is still in effect for just a couple more minutes. This is also running until 8:30 p.m. This is for Cape Girardeau and Union counties. But again, most of the city of Cape Girardeau now in the clear, at least with this tornado warning. We do still have storms back towards the west that are prompting those severe thunderstorm warnings. But again, it does look like we are kind of transitioning more over to less of that tornado threat and more over to a damaging straight lined wind threat. JC?
We do have some reports from Jackson County, maybe coming out, looks like Jackson County, Missouri, of some small hail. So with these storms, again, we do have that potential for some hail, and then of course those straight line winds as well, not just the tornado threat. It does look like maybe we have, is that a new tornado warning, Garrett?
Yep, we do have a brand new tornado warning. This is further towards the south. This is for, it looks like this is for the far southeastern corner of Carter County. Most